From the seafair city, Seattle, Washington, and direct from the shore of Lake Washington, where hundreds of thousands of people are viewing the world's largest spectator sport, the American Broadcasting Company now invites you to its exclusive nationwide presentation of the annual running of the Unlimited Hydroplane Classic, the 51st Gold Cup Regatta.
You are riding in an unlimited hydroplane. At this moment, driver of Thriftway 2, you are traveling at better than 160 miles per hour. The water is Lake Washington, scene of the most exciting speedboat race in the world. And in just minutes from now, 7 men and boats similar to this one will stream towards the starting line in the final heat of the Kentucky Derby of boat competition, the 51st Gold Cup Regatta.
Good afternoon. Through the nationwide facilities of the ABC television network, you're about to see the climax to an exciting afternoon of hydroplane racing, the deciding heat of the 1958 Gold Cup. Between now and the start of the race, 29 minutes from now, you're going to meet many of the nation's top drivers and watch the various crews keep the boats running in what is essentially a battle of men and machines. I'm Charles Herring, speaking from Pit Control, our nerve center here in the pit area, which is now teeming with activity as the crews of the 7 boats in the final heat make last-minute repairs and adjustments, readying the big hydros for this, the payoff heat. KING-TV, which is originating this telecast, will employ 8 cameras in covering the action. They're located at each end of the course, at the start and finish lines, at a spectacular vantage point overlooking the midway portion of the course, and here in the pits. One of the pit cameras has never been used before on a television broadcast. It is a tiny 4.5-pound live TV camera known as the Dage-Thompson Automatic, powered completely by transistors. You see a shot of it there. This very same camera was used by the U.S. Navy a few weeks ago to transmit pictures back to Earth from a balloon at an altitude of 80,000 feet over Minnesota. And right now, you see an intimate shot from the Dage camera of a propeller of one of these hydroplanes. Our heartfelt thanks to the Dage Company for their splendid cooperation in making this television first possible. Your reporting team today consists of 5 men, Tom Dargan, Ted Bryant, and myself here in the pits, Kurt Fortney standing by on the crash boat with portable transmitting equipment in the event of an accident during this third heat, and calling the action, the man who has probably broadcast more hydroplane races than any sportscaster in the United States, Bill O'Meara. Throughout the afternoon, which included 2 heats, one with 3 sections, the other with 2 sections, we've been recording the action on our Ampex video tape recorder. Unquestionably, the highlight of the afternoon occurred in the running of Heat 2A, when a boat, Miss Thriftway, ran wild, apparently lost her rudder, and smashed into a Coast Guard patrol boat on the course, causing both of them to sink. Here is the aftermath of the action and Bill O'Meara. They have shot off the gun, stopping down the race. Now we'll have to find out what is the matter with Miss Thriftway. We don't know if Bill is in there. The Miss Pay and Save is dead, just off the beach area here, about 3/4 of the way down the inland chute. A couple of boats are charging for her. Nobody's paying attention to the Miss Pay and Save. Al is standing up on the tail of his boat. The gun is going off. Coral Reef is coming down here to the 1,000-foot line. The race has been stopped down, and we'll have to check. Here is the screen. Here is the boat. Here is the boat. And where is Bill? A Coast Guard boat coming out of it. And the Coast Guard man climbing out of the crash. Ask him what it is. I don't know what it is. She evidently hit the Coast Guard cutter. There's a man coming out. Thriftway hit the Coast Guard cutter. They were evidently crowded in that turn. We're waiting now to hear a report from down at the scene. Here you see a skin diver going down, going into the Coast Guard cutter. The race has been stopped down. And we understand they haven't found Muncie yet. But they did find Muncie. He was okay. He may have a fractured leg. He is in Virginia Mason Hospital here in Seattle. The Coast Guardsmen all okay, although one of them had to be hospitalized in one of the most sensational accidents in a Gold Cup race in many, many years. The climax to this race today comes 25 minutes from now. From Seattle, Washington, you are watching ABC's coverage of hydroplane racing's greatest classic, the annual Gold Cup. What manner of man is this who risks his life driving these 150-mile-an-hour hydroplanes? Well, all of these drivers have one thing in common. They are strictly amateurs. They drive purely for the love of the sport and for the purpose of advancing man's knowledge of boats and engines.
Jack Regas, driver of the 1957 champion hydroplane Hawaii Kai, is technical representative for Willys Motors in the western United States. Now, here you see Jack discussing his company's line of vehicles with a local shop supervisor. This is Jack Regas. Racing hydroplanes for Freddie Alter is like taking a busman's holiday. Fred, who drives Miss US 1 for fun, sells marine engines and equipment to people in Detroit, Michigan for a living. In addition, Fred has a daily radio sport show called Stopwatch. Dallas Sartz, driver of Miss Spokane and a veteran fighter pilot of World War II, is in charge of maintenance of F-89 Scorpion jet fighter planes at the Geiger Field Air National Guard Base near Spokane, Washington. Captain Dallas Sartz. Bull Stead, driver of Maverick, a boat which has won 2 major hydroplane races already this season, probably has to deal with a Maverick or 2 on his regular job. Bill owns over 70,000 acres of ranch land north and east of Reno, Nevada. Brian Weigel, who drives the revolutionary cab-over design Fifth Way 2, is also a pilot, but not for the military. He is senior project test pilot on the famous Boeing B-52 jet bomber at Seattle, Washington, and is the first man to log 1,000 hours of flying time in this airplane. Bill Muncie, driver of Miss Thriftway and 2-time winner of the Gold Cup race, is a disc jockey at radio station KING in Seattle. Bill also is public relations director of the grocery chain who sponsor his boat. This is Bill Muncie. Probably the driver with the most fabulous background of all is Mira Slovak, a Czechoslovakian refugee who flew a transport plane to freedom from behind the Iron Curtain. Mira, the driver of Miss Bardall, is chief pilot of Aero Boeing, and one of the jobs Mira does is to dust crops in central and eastern Washington with this converted B-25 bomber.
21 minutes to race time, and here in the pits, the 7 drivers who will compete in the third and final heat are just about ready to start their boats. Let's meet some of them now as we go to Tom Dargan in the pits.
Well, let's meet one, Jack Regas, who is now on top of Hawaii Kai and working with his crew. You're going to have to take a look at Jack because at the moment the primary thing on his mind is the operation of his boat. But you can meet a man who is going to appear on Gale 6, Lee Shaneth. For our coast-to-coast audience, Lee, I'd like to have you say hello. You'll be appearing in Gale 6 this afternoon against the Hawaii Kai, Coral Reef, and so on. What do you look for your toughest competition, and what can we look for you in the Gale 6?
Well, both Gales, as you know, are in the final heat. We just decided to let Roy Doobie run Gale 6, and I'm going to run Gale 5.
You're going to drive Gale 5?
Yeah, I want some experience in it because I think I'm going to drive it the rest of the year. And I imagine Hawaii Kai and Maverick are the 2 guys that are going to go again. We just got to get after them.
Are you guys going to drive team against them?
No, you can't. That's too much. I mean, we go out there. The only thing I won't do is if he's in front of me, I won't pass him, and if I'm in front of him, he won't pass me. I mean, we more or less don't try and beat each other, but there's no teamwork in boat racing. People may think there is, but it's impossible.
Thanks very much, Lee Shaneth.
Pleasure.
Now we'll go down and talk to Ted Bryan.
Bill Stead is 30 years old. He's from Reno, Nevada. Bill, you've had a rough afternoon. You're tired. What is it that makes you go out here and race in one of these boats in which you might be killed?
At the start of the race, I probably could have told you very easily, but at this stage, after 2 real hard heats, I don't know. I sort of wonder myself why anybody would go out here and beat their brains out in one of these 3- and 4-ton boats around the course at the speeds we're traveling. But we do, and I suppose we'll be back doing it some more, but I couldn't tell you why, honestly.
And you'll be out next time?
Oh, yeah, I hope so.
Now again, Tom Dargan.
Well, Ted, at this moment, while Jack Regis is busy with his crew getting ready for this competition, we'll go to Chuck Herring in pit control.
The running of the World Series of Powerboat Racing, the Gold Cup, is the climax to Seattle's annual Seafair celebration, which now in its 9th year is gaining nationwide attention. On another score, the Seafair City will receive worldwide notice in a few years. During the past week, leading scientists from all over the country have been making plans here in Seattle for the Century 21 Exposition, the World's Fair of Science, slated to be held here in Seattle in 1961. Now, whether you're watching this telecast in Buffalo, New York, or Nashville, Tennessee, or Kansas City, if you're planning a visit to the Pacific Northwest next year, Seattle Seafair is an event you shouldn't miss. Here's a sample of the fun and excitement of this year's annual Maritime Frolic.
Seattle donned her royal cloak of fun and gaiety 10 days ago with the rowdy arrival of a cutthroat gang known as the Seafair Pirates. Led by Davy Jones and his right-hand man, Captain Kidd, the Buccaneers put to shore at Alki Point in the historic western section of town. The pirates, taking time out from chasing pretty girls, displayed their disdain for seafair ruler King Neptune Rex IX by putting the torch to the flagship of his royal fleet. Neptune, like any self-respecting king, could stand the antics of the pirates only so long before descending from his home atop the famed Olympic Mountains to do something about the outlaws, and seafair fun begins in earnest. The new Neptune, in real-life Price Sullivan, received his scepter of office during coronation ceremonies at Seattle's beautiful and unusual outdoor Aqua Theater. Every king must have a queen, and this year, a lovely blonde 18-year-old high school student, Judy Paulson, was chosen as Seattle's Queen of the Seas. Her reign will continue for a year. Seattle is a city of international influences, and this character is an important part of the Seafair festivities. These are the International Scottish Games, track and field events featuring athletes from the U.S. and Canada, one of the few athletic events in the world staged against a background of bagpipe music. The Seafair City's Chinese community stages one of the most colorful and energetic celebrations. The serpentining 102-foot-long dragon, the exquisite costumes of the Orient add to the exciting international flavor and to Seattle's reputation as the gateway to the Far East. The giant spectacle of the 10-day-long nautical Mardi Gras is the grand parade through the heart of Seattle. This year, 250,000 people lined the streets for a glimpse of the beautifully decorated floats and the lovely girls who adorned them. Another of the principal attractions was comedian Bob Hope, honorary Grand Marshal of the parade. 165 units took part in the 2.5-hour-long display. The Seattle Seafair is for youngsters, too, and they have their own junior parade through the district bordering the University of Washington. A junior Seafair king and queen, both 10-year-olds, reigned supreme here, and obviously their tiny subjects had a wonderful time. The Seafair City's international settlement goes all out for the celebration, too. The week-long carnival atmosphere includes this twilight Mardi Gras parade. And in light of its title as the pleasure boating capital of the world, Seattle naturally sets aside a day for the Navy. These are Royal Canadian vessels which put into the port of pleasure for the big doings. The U.S. Navy also well represented with a variety of warships. The big roaring unlimited hydros are the principal racing attraction of Seafair Week, but there's lots of enthusiasm for this miniature race, too. These model boats, 30 inches or less in length, hit speeds of 45 miles an hour, and who knows, some future champ of the hydro world may be getting his start in that miniature Seafair race. The limited National Hydroplane Championships, featuring boats and drivers from throughout the country, served as a prelude last Saturday to today's Gold Cup race. These speedsters in several classes, many powered by automobile engines, hit speeds of more than 80 miles an hour. And, of course, there are failures and frustrations. One of the zaniest of all Seafair events is the Slew Fair race. All types of unusual forms of locomotion were used to power the strange-looking craft. This paddle wheeler took top honors in spite of the efforts of a competitor to destroy her power plant. Everyone had a splashing good time. These are only a few of the events that make Seattle Seafair one of the most unique and exciting civic celebrations in the country. We hope that next year you'll join us here in Seafair City.
From Seattle, Washington, you are watching ABC's coverage of hydroplane racing's greatest classic, the annual Gold Cup.
We'd like to have you meet Ted Jones, the world's leading authority on unlimited hydroplanes and the father of the three-point hydroplane, which you'll see performing here this afternoon. Ted, with the use of the model of the Gold Cup champion, Miss Thriftway, can you demonstrate for us the difference between a three-point hydroplane and the ordinary runabout or motorboat that we're used to?
Well, the V-bottom runabouts that we see out here in the lake, Tom, are being driven through the water, and this is certainly not conducive to speed. So when we go rapid over the water, we have to build a boat like this one that has two sponsons, which forms a trap or an air trap down the middle, and the boat rides on a film of water and the one blade of the propeller.
Now, in effect, then, the boat is airborne.
This is true. This is the only way you can get any speed out of them.
What prevents these three-point hydroplanes from becoming entirely airborne and taking off through the air like an airplane would?
I think on this picture here, Tom, we can show it. We have what we call deck pressure on the forward portion of the boat here. This deck turns down, as does the bottom come upward. And the amount of lift exerted from this turn up on the bottom is counteracted by the pressure section pushing the boat down. So regardless whether we go 100 miles an hour or 200 miles an hour, the boat stays steady on the water.
Speaking of those kinds of speeds, what is the average horsepower of one of these unlimiteds?
They roughly, they'll average out through the boats in the pits about 2,000 horsepower.
Which would be about 10 times that of an average and powerful automobile.
This is true.
All right, now how fast will this 2,000 horsepower drive the propeller?
They drive through a gearbox. They turn the propeller, or the propeller turns 200 times per second.
That's what causes this, what we call a rooster tail, correct?
This is true. There's only one blade in the water at a time, and as it exits the water, it brings up approximately a spoonful of water and throws it up into a veil, which we call a rooster tail, yes.
When this rooster tail is about 2.5 stories in the air and one of these boats is barreling down the chute, what's the maximum speed on a course of this kind?
Roughly, Tom, about 175 miles an hour prior to shutting down and going into the turn, which is, they go into the turns about 135 to 140.
Ted, what's the next evolutionary step in hydroplanes?
Well, it looks like we're going to have to get an engine that will live longer, and I believe that we'll go into jets to get away from the reciprocating parts, and we'll get more horsepower and consequently more speed out of the boats.
What kind of speed?
I believe we'll do 300 miles an hour in the jets.
And the speed will only be limited, actually, by the intestinal fortitude of its driver, huh?
This is true, very true.
Thanks very much, Ted Jones.
Well, that's the background. Now let's get down to business with the running of the third heat. And for that, let's go to the man who will call the action, Bill O'Meara, on the official barge.
Thank you very much, Chuck. Good afternoon, everyone. It's been truthfully an exciting day out here. One of a near accident and a miss to the defending Gold Cup champion, Miss Thriftway. We've had truthfully an exciting day on this 51st annual Gold Cup out here at Lake Washington. Right now, suppose we take a moment to explain just exactly how this Gold Cup race is run. In the first place, this is a 90-mile race in which the contestants compete not only against each other, but against the clock. It is divided into 3 separate 30-mile heats. Throughout this afternoon, the field here in Seattle has been competing in the first 60 miles of the race. We are about to watch the final 30 miles of competition. Because of safety regulations, a maximum field of 7 boats can compete at any one time. Therefore, as we go into this last and final heat, we have the 7 boats who have amassed the greatest number of points thus far, running for all the marbles. Now, as we have said, the race is divided into 3 separate 30-mile heats, a total of 90 miles. Again, because of the 7-boat maximum safety rule, each of the first 2 heats must be subdivided into sections so that each of the 16 boats originally entered in today's Gold Cup could have an opportunity to run in the first 60 miles. Each boat has run twice or been given an opportunity to, once in Heat 1, once in Heat 2. The section in which they ran was determined by the luck of a draw conducted just before each heat started. All of the boats were given points for the position in which they finished their first 2 30-mile legs. The 7 boats with the highest point totals thus far are about to run in this final heat. Now then, let's examine the way these point totals have been arrived at. First of all, every competitor who finishes a 30-mile heat receives points appropriate to that position in which he crosses the finish line. Namely, first place is worth 400 points. Second, 300. Third, 225. Fourth, 169. Fifth, 127. Sixth, 95. And seventh, 71. It therefore follows that each boat has 2 opportunities to score points, once in each of the first 2 30-mile heats, before the 7 boats with the highest point totals are picked for the final 30 miles of competition. Now, you'll recall that we originally pointed out this is a race against the clock. It therefore follows here, too, that recognition for the fastest speeds attained in competition should be given. This is done by the awarding of bonus points, available only to those boats who complete the entire 90 miles of racing. There are 2 such bonus point awards. Each is worth 400 points. One is given to the boat which has traveled over the entire 90 miles in the fastest total elapsed time. The other is given to that boat with the fastest elapsed time for any one of the 3 30-mile heats. Now, we might point out here that if the boat possessing the fastest heat time does not finish 90 miles, these 400 bonus points do not move to the next fastest boat. So, 400 points for the fastest boat in the entire race, 400 points for the fastest heat. Therefore, your winner of the 1958 Gold Cup, any Gold Cup as a matter of fact, will be determined by adding the place points with the bonus points, which means the first place boat across the line in the heat we are about to see might not necessarily be the winner of the overall race. Now, we'll show you what we mean as we go down the starting lineup. Here on the official barge, we have several boats out on the course. We have part of the field which is going to be running in the 3rd and final 30-mile section of the 1958 Gold Cup, the 51st annual affair, which sees the defending Gold Cup champion on the sideline in the hospital at this moment, watching the coverage of this race to determine a new champion for the year of 1958. We will tell you about those boats and give you an opportunity to take a look at the boats and the driver close up at this moment. The first boat entered in the race, Hawaii Kai. Hawaii Kai, we'll tell you about her point total later on. Hawaii Kai is driven by Jack Rakes, a young lad from California. The Kai is a national champion in every sense of the word and is also possessor of the world straightaway record, kilometer and straight mile. Coral Reef, she is a boat out of Tacoma, Washington, located 30 miles south of Seattle, Washington. Her driver is Harry Reeves. He is a national champion in the 136 cubic inch class, won this last Sunday on this same water over this same course. A third boat is Maverick, owned by W.T. Wagoner out of Phoenix, Arizona, racing out of Lake Mead, Nevada. Her driver is a Reno, Nevada cattleman, Bill Stead. He has done a tremendous job so far. Gale 6 is another entry, this one from Detroit. And Gale 6 is going to have not Lee Shaneth, whose picture we show you right here, who is the son of the owner of this boat, but he's had a replacement. Roy Doobie will be racing in Gale 6 for this 3rd and final section. Gale 5 will be also in the race, and Gale 5 is also from Detroit, and she will be driven by Wild Bill Cantrell, whose racing experience in the Gold Cup goes back to about 1949 when he picked up his first win. Also in the race is a local boat, Miss Burien, and that Miss Burien is sponsored by a community south of Seattle, and the boat is driven by a limited driver of outstanding experience here on the West Coast area, a 266 driver of outstanding merit who's making his first start in the unlimited field. His name is Bill Brow. In real life, he's a milkman, and he runs out there like he's always in a hurry. Also in the race, and the only boat which is not eligible at the moment for the final prize because she hadn't completed 60 miles prior to going in this heat, is the Miss Spokane, a community-owned boat from east of the mountains. Her driver is a jet pilot. His name is Captain Dallas Starks. He is with the Washington Air National Guard, and this is his first opportunity to race in the unlimited hydroplane field, but he has so far to date in the races out here on the West Coast done truthfully a tremendous job. With us on the barge at the moment, we have Colonel Rush Schley of the United States Air Force. He is a man who will be heard from in just a moment. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to pause now for a few seconds for station identification. On the official barge, let's talk with Colonel Rush Schley, who last year or year before was a national champion in the Shanty. Now he's on the sidelines. His new boat, Shanty 2, not ready for this race. What about Maverick, whose boat is not yet on the course and who has a total of 600 points on 2 second-place finishes and is in good solid contention? What about that, Rush?
At the moment, it does not appear that Maverick will make it, Bill.
Now, what is the matter?
They broke a quill shaft, of all things, and are changing it In order to do this, they had to remove the aux stage blower. They have replaced the quill shaft, which is applying spline coupling, and the aux stage is going back in, but it looks like they're not quite going to make it. It's going to be real close.
All right, let's take a look at this field now. Here, the Hawaii Kai is the leader. She has 800 points on 2 efforts, and that was the 1-minute gun. Now, just briefly, looking down this line, 700 points for Coral Reef. Maverick is not on the courses yet. She has 600 points. Gale 6 has 525. Gale 5, 469. Miss Burien 450, and Miss Spokane 225. Of the boats that you see listed there, only one is not eligible for the Gold Cup at this moment because only Miss Spokane has failed to finish 60 miles. All the rest have. The boat sitting in the best position for bonus points for the extra 800 points that are laying around loose out here is the Hawaii Kai, as she has better than a 57-second lead over Coral Reef and overall total elapsed time for the 60 miles, and she has 46 seconds on Maverick, and Maverick hasn't showed as yet. They are now getting squared away at the north end of the course, getting ready to come down here to the line. Hawaii Kai, well, Colonel Rush Slay, before we turn you away here, what about Colonel Rush Slay telling us what is Hawaii Kai's situation at the moment?
They're sitting pretty, Bill, and I would say he has a race going away here.
All right, let's take a look at them. Gale 6 is first over the line. Hawaii Kai is on the inside corner. Gale 5 was 6th, and Miss Spokane was last. Now, as we go into the south corner or right-hand turn, on the inside corner is Hawaii Kai. Jack Regis is her driver. He is still on the inside corner, which gives him a favored position. He swings fairly wide. He is first through the lower part of the turn, and he is being chased by Gale 6. Hawaii Kai out in front as he starts off the exit buoy of the backstretch of the first of 10 times around the course. This is the third and final 30 miles of the Gold Cup. And Burien is third. Looks like Gale 6 is second. We'll check on that in just a moment. Coral Reef has now moved into second place. Halfway up the backstretch. And Coral Reef is in second place. Burien is in third. And the rest of the field trails. It looks as though a couple of them didn't make it through the corner. Into the left-hand corner on the first of 10 times around the course. Hawaii Kai leading. Coming in on the top part of the turn, we haven't as yet seen Maverick. It looks as though she isn't going to make it. We offer our regrets. After a gallant try, 2 second-place finishes. And Bill Waggoner's Maverick is on the beach. Coral Reef is closely pursuing Hawaii Kai. We have a long way to go. Burien is in third place, and the rest of the field springs out. We have 5 in all out there, and I don't see that 6th place boat. Down to the line comes Hawaii Kai at the end of lap number 1. He is in a very solid position. Coral Reef, 105 miles an hour for Hawaii Kai the first time around. In third place is Burien. Coming around in fourth place is Miss Spokane. And Gale 5 is 5th. And Gale 6 is out of it, and so is one other boat. The Maverick is out of it. You don't see Gale 6 out there at the moment. We'll check for you. Here's your race for first and second. Hawaii Kai, with time going in her favor, now moving slowly up that backstretch. And Coral Reef, who comes on. Coral Reef, who is sitting out there in not too good a position, must come on and do something. But Hawaii Kai can just amble along out there with all the points that she has to spare. And Hawaii Kai still wants to stay out there, so she stands off the challenge of Coral Reef, who is easing up on her. At the end of the first lap, the Coral Reef in second place was 6 seconds behind at 105 miles an hour for the first of 10 times around the course. 3/4 of the way up the backstretch, moving into the north turn. The Coral Reef is right on the tail of Maverick, I beg your pardon, of Hawaii Kai. We look back to the pits and see the Maverick is still not out here. Burien is running in third place, about 3 seconds behind the second place boats. And the Miss Spokane is in fourth place, and Gale 5 is trailing. And the Gale 6 is out of it, down there in the south turn area. Coming off the exit buoy of the left-hand turn, down to the 1,000-foot mark. Hawaii Kai running under easy draft out here in the third and final 30 miles. Whether she wants to finish, that's the important thing with her. Hawaii Kai at the end of lap number 2, running out in first place. Coral Reef coming down now at the end of her second lap. over the line at the end of lap number 2. Carl Reef, 8 seconds behind the leader. In third place is Miss Burien, completing her second lap. And Burien at the moment is 16 seconds behind. Here comes Miss Spokane. She is in fourth place and not in contention for the title. In the south turn, we have Hawaii Kai moving through there real easily. Down over the line in last place comes Gale 5. She is in fifth place. Maverick didn't start. Gale 6 is out of it with Roy Doobie at the wheel, buried in the south turn. Now, we have Hawaii Kai starting up the backstretch, running out in front of the second place boat, Carl Reef, out of Tacoma by some 8 seconds. In third place and just coming out of the corner is Burien. And the rest of the field, the other two boats, trail. So 5 out of the 7 are out here. Hawaii Kai, content to run out there real easily. 98 miles an hour for the second time around the course. And it is Carl Reef with Harry Reeves coming on to charge at him. They have had one engine. That's all you're allowed. No engine changes. So they brought but one, and they've been doing a tremendous job with it. And the National Limited Inboard Champion, Harry Reeves, out of the 136 class, making his first start in the Gold Cup race, is doing a real great job. And so is Bill Brow and Miss Burien, who is coming up now, rounding into third place, just rounding into the left turn area. Here you see a race off the left turn area. Hawaii Kai coming down in the water. Looks as though she's having a little bit of trouble, and she is not forcing herself at all as the Coral Reef comes on at her and picks up a little bit of time. Hawaii Kai comes down to the line. The boat that wins the Gold Cup can defend it in any body of water that they choose. Hawaii Kai at the end of her third lap, running out in first place. Second place, Coral Reef, over the line at the end of her third lap. And in third place is Miss Burien. In fourth place, we have Miss Spokane, and in fifth place is Gale 5. Moving down to the south corner, the Hawaii Kai is running out in front. Harry Reeves and Carl Reeves is running wide and is running in second place. Reeves is now 6 seconds behind at the end of the third lap. Spokane is 28 seconds behind the leader. Burien in third place is 17 seconds behind. Gale 5 is about 40 seconds behind the leader at the end of her third lap. And Gale 6 is out of it in the south corner, and Maverick didn't start. Here's your race for first and second in this heat as Jack Regis in Hawaii Kai decides that he will take that boat and move away from Carl Reef. The boat has been behaving beautifully. Carl Reef sneaking up on him a little bit, but 3/4 of the way up the backstretch, Hawaii Kai is in charge. She won her first 2 heat eliminations in the 90-mile race and has a total of 800 points. She has best total elapsed time. She has the fastest heat so far, traveling over 108 miles an hour for 10 times around the course. Hawaii Kai in Heat 1A in lap 6 had officially the fastest lap, also 112.734. Halfway through the left-hand turn, at the top of that turn, Hawaii Kai running under wraps. This boat capable of a straightaway record, which she set last November, December on this lake at around 187 miles an hour. Also has the kilometer record, which is up around 195 miles an hour. This boat is a living bomb when she has to be. And she has fought out most challengers, but she must finish this 90 miles. And this is her final 30-mile stint of the afternoon, past the 1,000-foot mark. Hawaii Kai coming on now at the end of her fourth lap, still running in first place. Carl Reef coming down. The boat from Tacoma, Washington. Austin Snell, her owner, 6 seconds behind the leader. In third place is Burien, coming down to the end of her fourth lap. We are now starting the fifth lap. Hawaii Kai is halfway through the race. George Simon, the owner of Miss US 1, whose boat has been racing so gallantly this year, is standing directly off to our right. Halfway through the south corner, Hawaii Kai is your leader, looking to win the Gold Cup Championship if she can last through this lap and 5 more. The Miss Spokane just passed us. She is in fourth place, 32 seconds behind. We are on the official barge. Gale 5 is in fifth place, and he is better than 40 seconds behind the leader. The leader, a quarter of the way up the backstretch, is out in front of second place Carl Reef, just rounding off the exit buoy of the south corner. Carl Reef 6 seconds behind as we're in the fifth lap, moving up the backstretch. In third place, just rounding off the exit buoy of the south corner, is Miss Burien, driven by Bill Brow. In fourth place is Miss Spokane, halfway through the south turn. Just going into the south turn area is Gale 5, running in fifth place. 5 out of 7 are out there. Gale 6 is out of it at the start of the race in the south corner. Maverick didn't get out. At the left turn, Hawaii Kai moving very easily, doing her slowest 10 laps out here, going 95 miles an hour in the third lap, 96 miles an hour in the fourth lap. She will be winner of the Gold Cup if she can keep up at this rate. She is the Edgar Kaiser-owned boat, and it looks like Regis almost missed and came down inside that fifth buoy, the exit buoy of the north turn, which would be fatal for him. Almost. I guess he could fall back a little bit and still win, but he's taking no chances. Running down here real easily as Jack Regis comes down to the line, 500 feet away from the end of lap number 5. In first place, Hawaii Kai. In second place now, coming down past the 1,000-foot mark at the end of lap number 5, is Carl Reef. Carl Reef with Harry Reeves at the wheel is now 7 seconds behind the leader. Third place, Miss Furion, coming down to the line now at the end of her 5th lap. And she is in third place and quite a ways behind the leader. 19 seconds behind the leader. Third place boat, Miss Furion. Here is the overall race going into the south corner as the Hawaii Kai still leads comfortably. In fourth place is the Miss Spokane. She is 32 seconds behind the leader. And last place will be Gale 5 coming down to the finish of her 5th lap right now as your lead boat goes a quarter of the way up the backstretch off the exit buoy of the south corner. Harry Reeves starts to charge at him a little bit as Hawaii Kai turned 96 miles an hour in her 5th lap. She is now moving very easily in her 6th lap, a quarter of the way up the backstretch. Harry Reeves is coming on real hard, and he would like, I suppose, to at least win this 30-mile heat. But Hawaii Kai is sitting out there with all the money, marbles, and chalk. The important thing that she has to do is go through this lap and a total of 4 more after that, and she will be winner of the 1958 Gold Cup, the 51st running here on the shores of Lake Washington. Hawaii Kai through the north corner now, and this, her 6th lap, as the rest of the field begins to move up a little bit on her, and the field should be fairly well bunched, as your lead boat is moving in there at only about 95 or 96 miles an hour, which is very slow, in fact, for any one of these boats. They must qualify at better than 95 miles an hour, so this 95 miles an hour that he's averaging out here in the last 2 or 3 laps is, of course, for him, a safety assurance. He has so many points going for him in lowest total elapsed time. The nearest boat to him is better than 57 seconds away, and that is your second place boat, Harry Reeves in Carl Reef. Hawaii Kai over the line at the end of lap number 6. In first place, Carl Reef over the line at the end of her 6th lap. In second place, she is now 4 seconds behind, but she has to make up about 53 seconds more if she's going to get the fastest total elapsed time. The Burien is over the line in third place, pretty well back, and the Hawaii Kai and the Coral Reef are running into the south corner now in a dead-even match out there with Jack Regis and Hawaii Kai taking no chances, looking for a definite assurance that he's going to win the Gold Cup for this year. Spokane in fourth place, 31 seconds behind, and the 5th place boat, Bill Cantrell, coming down now past the 1,000-foot mark at the end of his 6th lap. He is running in 5th place. Here's your overall look at the field as the leader starts a quarter way up the backstretch and starts to move a little bit away from Coral Reef, who charges on him a little bit. Lee is in Gale 5, we understand, and Roy Doobie is in Gale 6. Lee Shoneth, it's just been informed us from the official barge, is in Gale 5, and Roy Doobie was in Gale 6. Now, we're 3/4 of the way up the backstretch in the course here at Lake Washington. Coral Reef is 4 seconds behind and pressing on an easygoing front-running boat that so far has won 2 30-mile heats, has the lowest total elapsed time, and also has the fastest heat out here, also has the fastest lap. I think that just about gives him a clean sweep if he continues the way he is, leading in this race and moving along very easily. Hawaii Kai coming off the north turn here at Lake Washington in his 7th lap. Coral Reef, 4 seconds behind, has to pick up 54 more seconds before he can call it a day and say that he might be the winner, at least get a hold of those bonus points, which would make the difference for him because he's resting down there in 2nd place with 700 points and a 1st and a 2nd. So the Hawaii Kai can't take too many chances. Hawaii Kai ends her 7th lap running in 1st place. She has been in the lead from wire to wire. Down to the line comes the Coral Reef, and she is running in 2nd place at the end of her 7th lap, 6 seconds behind. In 3rd place is Miss Burien, 96 miles an hour for the 7th lap, 93 for the 6th lap for Hawaii Kai. She has only been over 100 miles an hour in 1 lap. That was the first, 105. Here's Hawaii Kai going into the south corner on her 8th time around the lap. She has this lap and 2 more to go, and she can call it a day and take home the cup and everything else. Last year, she won 5 straight races to become the national champion. Jack Regis then topped off the year by setting a new record in the straightaway. He also set a new kilometer record in the straightaway. The Gale 5 just over the line in 5th place, 46 seconds behind the leader. Spokane in 4th place, 35 seconds behind the leader. Burien 16 seconds behind the leader in 3rd place. As you watch the leader go up the backstretch, Jack Regas driving in Hawaii Kai. Coral Reef falling a little further behind, 6 seconds behind now in this 8th lap as they move 3/4 of the way up the backstretch in the 8th lap. 96 miles an hour for Hawaii Kai through the 7th lap. It's been quite a day out here for the Pink Lady. She was brought out of mothballs. She, in fact, if you want to know the truth of the matter, if this boat succeeds in going 90 miles, this will be the first time she ever has succeeded in going 90 miles. The crew of Hawaii Kai is the former Slow Motion 4 crew who were instrumental in bringing the Cup out here in the first place when they went back on the Detroit River back about 1950, and with Ted Jones and Mike Welch and several other well-known figures in the unlimited hydroplane world, and Stanley Sayers as owner of Slow Motion 4, were able to bring the Cup back out here. And between Slow Motion 4 and Slow Motion 5, they managed to keep it out here for 5 straight years. Over the line goes Hawaii Kai. Hawaii Kai out in front at the end of the 8th lap. Her second place opponent is Coral Reef for this heat. Coral Reef over the line, and she is now 8 seconds behind. But Hawaii Kai, in this, her 9th lap, is moving to take it all. In 3rd place is Burien. And Burien gets over the line at the end of her 8th lap, 19 seconds behind the leader. Bill Brow is her driver. The 4th place boat is coming out of the turn now. Miss Spokane, and Dallas starts almost lost it. He came up on the right-hand spots and came back down again. And you notice our short tail fin? She chopped it up in a previous heat. They did a terrific repair job on her. Here comes your 5th place boat, Gale 5, still in the running. Now back to the 1st place boat in this heat, Hawaii Kai, who has all of the points going for her, including the fastest lap time, 112 plus miles an hour. Hawaii Kai moving halfway up the backstretch now, pursued by Coral Reef as Harry Reeves doggedly hangs on, hoping against hope. His only hope is that Hawaii Kai will go dead, that she will not complete her 10 laps. And when you heard Colonel Rushley a moment ago mention an item called the quill shaft, man, anything can happen. The Burien running in 3rd place, halfway up the backstretch. And the rest of the field pretty well trained out. At the top of the left-hand turn, Hawaii Kai. Coming on now through that left-hand turn. And in 2nd place is Coral Reef. 96 miles an hour for the 8th time around. Now let's see what he did the 9th time around the course. Now he gets ready for the 10th and final lap. Hawaii Kai has 1 more lap to go, and she will be Gold Cup champion for 1958. Down to the line comes Hawaii Kai. 500 feet away from the end of lap number 9. In 1st place, Hawaii Kai. Down to the line. In 2nd place, Harry Reeves. Ed Coral Reef comes over the line. And he has picked up a little time. He's only 5 seconds behind. In 3rd place, coming down to the line now, as he begins to start his 10th and final lap, is Miss Burien, driven by Bill Brow. Into the south corner in his 10th and final time around the course, Jack Regas in Hawaii Kai. This boat has raced only once this year. This is the race that she went into. Down over the line in 4th place comes the Miss Spokane at the end of her 9th lap. Burien is 20 seconds behind the leader. Spokane is 35 seconds behind the leader. In 5th place is Gale 5 with Lee Shannon at the wheel. And that's 43 seconds behind the leader. A quarter of the way up the backstretch in her 10th and final time around the course. Hawaii Kai with Coral Reef doggedly hanging on. In Harry Reeves, a very talented person making his first start in the unlimited field in a Gold Cup race. 3/4 of the way up the backstretch. Your lead boat moving up that backstretch now. As you take a look at it through our camera in the north turn position, moving past the deceleration buoy. That's the white buoy marker you saw there a moment ago. Moving in on buoy number 1 for the 10th and final time. Doggedly pursuing his course, 6 seconds behind her is the Coral Reef with Harry Reeves at the wheel. 19 seconds behind is Burien, and we have Miss Spokane and Gale 5 rounding out the field up that backstretch. Down past the turn now, fairly wide, comes the Hawaii Kai as she'll come down in here right next to the barge. As we have Jack Regas coming way wide now, knowing that he has it all. coming down off the exit buoy of the left-hand turn. Harry Reeves comes up on the inside of him, but it's all for naught. Here comes the Hawaii Kai, 1958 Gold Cup champion. He wins it all. Jack Regis in Hawaii Kai. Jack Regis, winner of the 1958 Gold Cup. Second place went to Carl Reef in this heat. He was 4 seconds behind. 96 and 92 miles an hour and 93 miles an hour for the last 3 laps for Hawaii Kai. Here comes your third place boat, Burien, for this heat. The third place boat in this heat is Burien, 20 seconds behind the leader. The fourth place boat is Miss Spokane, driven by Dallas Starch, fourth in this heat. The final 30 miles of a 90-mile race in the Gold Cup race. 30 seconds off the leader is Miss Spokane. The fifth and final place goes to Gale 5 with Lee Shannon at the wheel, a former Gold Cup champion, 35 seconds behind the leader. And that wraps it up. 6 started, 5 finished. Gale 6 with Roy Doobie at the wheel, didn't get out of the south corner. Hawaii Kai is your winner of the 1958 Gold Cup Championship. All right, here is Chuck Herring in pit control.
From Seattle, Washington, you are watching ABC's coverage of hydroplane racing's greatest classic, the annual Gold Cup.
We watch Hawaii Kai come right by us. Jack Regis in Hawaii Kai going by us out here. Moving back out in the middle of the course. Getting ready to turn around out here as the rest of the boats take their cooling off lap and get ready to come in. And we watch Hawaii Kai out here in front of the official barge. A very happy boy, Jack Regis, who last year failed to finish a 90-mile race, and who this year certainly justified the performance of a former national champion crew in the slow motion 4 crew headed up by Mike Welch. Here's Tommy Dargett.
All right, Bill. Mr. Kaiser, we have a coast-to-coast network television audience here who are very happy for you. And could you give us a few words?
Well, we're very happy for Jack and that crew. They did a magnificent job. We're awful sorry that Bill wasn't out there. We'd have liked to have Bill Muncie out there.
I know that you did, Mr. Could you turn here just a moment, Mr. Kaiser? People all over the country want to see you.
Right.
This is a happy crew, and this is a happy man. May we
a great job.
Our congratulations on the part of ABC TV to you, sir, for a wonderful, wonderful show today.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
you
Mr.
fellas,
Kaiser.
for your cooperation on this delay with
You bet your life.
Okay.
Mr. Edgar Kaiser and Elmer Leonard Schmidt, congratulations, boy. How do you feel? You're pretty happy?
I'm very happy.
Is this like the days of the old slow mode?
Yeah, you don't lose it.
No, I guess you don't. This is Elmer Leonard Schmidt, one of the crew members, and they're climbing into the launch, which will take them out to the finish barge, where you will hear an interview with Jack Regis, the running driver, and see all the excitement that attends such an event. These men work extremely hard, at great personal sacrifice to produce these winning boats, long times, long days, long hours, and they put their heart and soul into it. And so a win is not just a cup or a trophy, but it's a realization of a joint effort of personal sacrifice that's something really marvelous to behold. And there goes a happy bunch of people out to the finish barge. The Hawaii Kai, winner of the 51st Annual Gold Cup Regatta. And now back to pit control.
And the remarkable thing about today's effort from one aspect is that although hydroplane racing is supposed to be a rich man's sport, when we look down through the second, third, and fourth place finishers, we find very modest financing, and in the case of 2 of them, Miss Spokane and Miss Burien, which were third and fourth respectively, they are strictly community efforts. And that certainly belies the old adage that there's no point in getting into hydroplane racing unless you have plenty of money to spend. In the case of both Miss Spokane and Miss Burien, they were strictly sponsored by the community, and I know that their backers, Spokane in eastern Washington and Burien, a suburb of Seattle, are extremely proud. Stepping ashore, and all is confusion down in that area. This little fellow is only about 5 feet 6. Let's go to the official ceremonies now, and Jack Gordon.
Terrific crew. Terrific men working with us.
It's a great victory, Jack, and congratulations from all the people that are here today.
Right, especially the short time that they had to work.
I think they're moving up your wife. Your crew is coming in here in just a moment. You want to take a hold of that cup, Jack?
Oh, man.
It's about time you got that. There he is.
Describing this scene now as Jack Regas gives a big kiss to the Gold Cup. The Gold Cup, World Championship of Unlimited Hydroplane Racing. He's got it. It's all his, the Hawaii Kai crew. And here comes his crew moving over to the Victor's Barge now. They're going to come on, and for the traditional ceremony, moving up now to dunk him in Lake Washington. My gosh, Mike Welch, the crew chief, embraces him here. This is really an exciting moment for all these fellows who fought so hard, worked so hard to make this dream come true. The Hawaii Kai, the champion of hydroplane racing. Jack, they want you to take the trophy.
Here, Mike.
He gives it to Mike. Mike, how do you feel?
That's the best feeling I've ever had in my life. Thank you.
Mike, that's a wonderful crew you've got there.
Hey, Mike.
Photographers, scene of confusion here on the Victor's Barge. The Gold Cup race, 1958 is history, the 51st running. Somewhere here in the crowd, Mrs. Regas is about to come up here. All the crew members are kissing him here. A wonderful, touching scene here of excitement. His wife is sitting on the beach. They're trying to get her through. From Seattle, Washington, you are watching ABC's coverage of hydroplane racing's greatest classic, the annual Gold Cup. And there will be some people getting a dunking in Lake Washington, that's for sure, within moments here. This is the customary procedure for the driver to go for an impromptu swim. And a happy one it'll be for this little fellow, Jack Regas, who stands all of about 5 feet 6 and probably weighs 130 pounds soaking wet. A very game guy who came on and hung in there and picked up all the marbles, 2,000 points, the maximum allowable in a Gold Cup race, and he got them all here today. You can't win any more than that. He got the 400 bonus points for the fastest heat, the 400 for the fastest total time, and 1,200 for 3 first-place finishes. And all his happiness there in the Hawaii Kai camp, and not so happy in the Maverick camp. Maverick was the big contender, one of the strong favorites, and was not able to come out. That just about winds up the important activity here at Lake Washington this afternoon. We hope that all of you across the nation have enjoyed the thrills of Gold Cup competition. And on behalf of Tom Dargan, Ted Bryant, and Bill O'Meara, this is Charles Herring saying goodnight from the Seafair City, Seattle, Washington, where you've been watching the 1958 running of the annual Gold Cup Regatta.
From the Seafair City, Seattle, Washington, you've been watching the Hydroplane Classic of 1958, direct from the shores of Lake Washington. This telecast was originated through the facilities of KING-TV, produced and directed by Lee Schulman. This has been the 51st annual running of the Gold Cup Regatta. Don't miss the spectacular summer football classic, the champion Detroit Lions against the College All-Stars, Friday on the ABC Television Network.